Hello. Please, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. You can hit the notifications bell and you'll be notified when we have a new video. And of course, if you haven't already, you can sign up for the Produce Like a Pro email list and you'll get a whole bunch of free goodies. Tons of video content, drum samples, and all other kinds of fun things. So let's get started with a frequently asked question. Can you start in this business at a late age, i.e. 60? I think that is a wonderful question. I saw it last week come up in a Q&A, and I said to Eric, please write that down. I love that question because you can make money out of music, work professionally at any age whatsoever. There are teenagers making money at music. There have been teenagers over decades that have created incredible music. I would argue some of the greatest music of all time was made by teenagers. One of my favorite bands, Free, did an album called Fire and Water, and I believe Andy Frase was maybe 17 when he did that album. I believe on the first album he was 15 turning 16. Geoff Emerick, as we talk about many times, was 19 turning 20 when he did Revolver by the Beatles. Now, why am I focusing on youth? I'm not. To me, it's an ageless business. So if you're 60 and you've been playing guitar your whole life and you want to make it your profession, there's no reason why you shouldn't. Or most importantly, no reason why you couldn't. Now, if you're talking about the perspective of being older and being an engineer or a producer or a mixer, all of the experience that you have had your whole life up until that moment comes into play. Imagine you have a studio. You have a modest studio, maybe you have like a little console, 8, 12, 16 channel console for recording drums in like a converted garage, an interface with 8 inputs, whatever it might be. You've got a home system and you want to record bands. Being 60 is a pretty amazing attribute, quite frankly, because you know what you have life experiences. Now that might sound trite and an obvious thing to say. No, what I mean is you have the ability to work with people. The number one failing of everybody I've ever met in the music industry when they're hitting their head against a brick wall is the inability to work with others. It is huge. So many people are really talented. They can shred like crazy. They can record anything. They're amazing mixers. And they may have the people skills of a dead parrot. Norwegian Blue even, for those of you who understand where I'm going on that one. That's my Monty Python quote for the day. The reality is people skills are really, really important. There's very few mixers, for instance, that really can work now, with the sort of old school attitudes. If you're coming up now and you want to build your resume, you better be a really good person to work with. Saying, the tracks have to be absolutely incredible before I can even mix them. Well, the reality is now you're going to be mixing anything that you can get and building your resume. So being a little older, having some life experiences and having the ability to communicate with people, because as we get older, we learn those skills and they improve on a daily basis. Now, don't get me wrong. I've met 13-year-old kids that have amazing personalities and can communicate with everybody. It just comes down to, what skills they've learned, upbringing, great schools, education, family. There's all kinds of things that shape us as to who we are. And some of us get those skills really early on. I didn't. At 15, at 16, when I was doing music, I was like really, really super shy. I started professionally in this business playing shows in working men's clubs at the age of 16 years old. And I stood there like a terrified guy just playing my guitar parts. I dressed a bit crazy. Some photos of me somewhere around dressing crazy. But ultimately, I was just playing the guitar, super shy, very introverted, and I developed into the person that you see now. I couldn't have been massively successful at 16 years old. I may have been able to write songs. Maybe I could have played on some stuff. But when it comes to like touring and interacting and getting my ideas across, I had a hard time articulating them. I was very shy. So I was able to become successful doing music by developing those skills. And I really had to work on developing good people skills. And I'm still working on it. I like to be positive. in the comments, because I understand that sometimes somebody leaves a comment that might sound a little pointed or a little mean or a little rude. And I know that's not everybody's intentions. I think that we all try to articulate ourselves and we want to get noticed so somebody will respond. So I take as much time as I possibly can each day to respond to your comments down there. And I feel I'm quite unique in that. Most people with successful YouTube channels see it as being beneath them. They've articulated that. Oh, it's just a waste of time. Well, it's not a waste of time to me. I want to build a community, and I want to be part of a community, more importantly, part of a community that cares about one another. And this is a wonderful place that we've got here. So many people leave incredible questions and comments and help each other out down here. And it's amazing. So if you are 60 and you're coming back and you want to do this as a career and you want to build your own studio and hire it out to musicians and bring in bands, I think actually you probably have a lot of skills. You have a lot of people skills. You have a lot of acquired knowledge in how to work with people. And I wouldn't be worrying about competing with somebody who maybe hasn't got those skills yet. Just as importantly, also think about the business acumen you have by the time you're 60. Understanding, finances and how to balance the books. I didn't know any of that stuff when I was a teenager. I remember being in England, in the UK, there was a special program where they would help you as an entrepreneur. I never signed on. I never got unemployment, but I got this special thing, and I'm trying to remember, it was like an entrepreneurial thing they would give you. And I believe it was like £40 a week or £40 every 2 weeks, which is really not very much money, but it was enough to help me out. And I remember I would go and meet with a counselor, and they would help me understand how to do my books, how to add up my numbers. And it was wonderful. It was a really, really good program. That was really super helpful. I don't know now, without that, I would have been able to survive because I was clueless. But now, of course, I've run several businesses. I've had studios. I've had 5 different studios in my career. And I've made loads of records and signed tons of contracts and done all kinds of business stuff. And now, I've tour managed my own bands. I've done all of those things, but I would never have been able to do them when I was first starting out. So, long answer, but yes, at 60, sure as heck you can go and do this because you have a lot to bring to it. And wherever you're at in your lives and your career, don't sell yourself short. Please don't sell yourself short. It doesn't matter where you're from. You bring something important. Doesn't matter how old you are, you bring something important. For instance, just to change the tack for a second, you remember how I talk about like working with like a teenage girl singer? A teenage girl singer has experienced things I will never experience, can write lyrics about relationships that I would never understand. I can't relate to that. That's my point. It's like you cannot be all-knowing and all-seeing. It is about working with people, collaborating with people, and bringing out the best of them. And if at 60 years old, I applaud you for even thinking about that. And if you want to get back into doing music at 60, go for it. If you want to do it at 16, go for it. If you want to do it at any age, go for it. I fully applaud you. And please hang out here, leave some comments and questions. Everybody who's going through this kind of indecision, because I get it. It's part of being human to doubt ourselves. And as Jack Douglas and Shelley and all the people I admire, all these incredible record makers that we admire, all of their work, they don't like the experts. They don't like the professionals. They revel in the world of self-doubt. They revel in the world of second-guessing and really trying to make the best of everything, as opposed to being, I am the sound of hits. I like those kind of people. I respond to the people that don't believe that they are geniuses, that are just in this to work and believe that it's about collaboration and working with others. So off you go. Get going. Let us know how you get on. Could you recommend a few mics for recording acoustic guitars that you would say would give different results or have different strengths, ideally more towards the budget-orientated things? I think when it comes to recording acoustic guitars, and I was looking around at acoustic guitars, you'll notice I use 2 different types of microphones. Well, arguably 3, but regularly I use small diaphragm condensers on the bottom part of the neck. So I grabbed an acoustic guitar because there's a couple of different ways I do this. So we're going to edit in a little bit of video footage here, and then we're going to have a link underneath so you can check it out. So I would mic on the bottom part here with a small diaphragm condenser on the body. It's a technique I've learned years and years ago, and I absolutely love it. It's very percussive, and when you get those kind of performances, it's really nice. It's great. It's a really, really nice miking technique. The other place I do is on mic 12 to 14th fret, a few inches back, and that's usually a large diaphragm mic. So with that in mind, there's a couple of microphones that I absolutely love and I think are a really, really good price point. Now, many of you know that I'm a big fan of Lewitt microphones, and Lewitt do the 240, which is an inexpensive large diaphragm, for $149. So you could put that between the 12th and the 14th fret, pull it back. It also makes a great entry-level vocal microphone. It's $149. Now, there is a 140 Air, which is $149. That is an amazing mic for recording acoustic guitars. I've done videos on that, and you can watch those as well. And one of the things I like about it is that Air, that kind of hyped high end, is actually really nice on acoustics. The other thing I'll be quite honest in saying is that inexpensive condenser mics, whether they're small diaphragm or large diaphragm, do really, really well on acoustic guitars. And the reason for that is they tend to have a little bit of a hyped high end, which is nice on acoustics, and probably more importantly, they don't have a boomy low end. Now, you might ask, why is that important? Well, with acoustic guitars, keeping it away from the sound hole is really, really important. The sound hole here dumps out a bunch of low end. So if you've got a guitarist, and I can be guilty of this, who is moving around a bit on this seat, wherever you put that mic, it's not going to move. So when this acoustic moves a few inches like this, what will end up happening is it will get boomy. So that sound hole moves even just a few inches like that. Suddenly it's projecting into the microphone. Then it's okay. Then it's projecting. So what I love is when I'm using inexpensive small diaphragms, which I do a lot on acoustics, they don't pick up that low end. And I don't have to EQ it out afterwards. I don't need, anywhere from 20 to, frankly, most of the time, 100 hertz. And in a pop song and in a densely mixed song with a lot of instruments, sometimes I'm going up to 120 or 150 on the low end of the acoustic and wiping it completely out. Especially if I've got like big fat bass, a piano, some keys, an organ, electric guitars. I've got so many things taking up that low end. I don't need them. I've mixed going up to 200 many, many times if I just want to hear the percussiveness of all that sound, because that's a nice effect when you've got a stereo pair of acoustics to hear the percussiveness of it. You get a really tight stereo acoustic and it gives you some chills. It just moves the song along, and great effect. However, don't need the low end and the warmth in there. It can really get in the way. Now, if I'm doing a solo acoustic and I really wanted to get like the most articulate sound, then I probably would spend some more money. But in those low ranges, the Lewitt does great. There's also a couple of favorites of mine, Audio-Technica. You hear me talk about them a lot. We haven't done any review stuff on them yet, which is unfortunate, but we will. I just end up using them a lot. Over the years, I've found when I was living in the UK, when I was back in England, Audio-Technica were relatively newish then. They're about 25 years old now. But when I was back there, they were killing it. They came out. They were just affordable. They sounded amazing. And the 4051 is one of my personal favorite small diaphragm condensers. It's not cheap. It's about $600. The other microphones I've talked to you about were both $149. But at $600, it might be one of the best microphones on the market, small diaphragms. The next kind of thing up from that is going to be Neumann and above. There's an amazing deal on these microphones, and that's the Lauten LA120s. I was talking about them in a recent video on the 6 mics that you need to know. I didn't want to bring them up first because I wanted to bring in some fresh stuff, but frankly, they are amazing. And you can get a pair. That is a pair for $335 at Sweetwater at the moment. If you're in the US or Canada or wherever they ship, $335 for a pair. And that is really, really inexpensive. They've really wiped the price off those. So there's a lot of options. The great thing about maybe buying that is it's a stereo pair at $335. So there's 3 completely different microphone companies I can recommend. If price is not an issue, then obviously the Sawyers is $539 for one. The FET, we talked about that last week as well. That's a wonderful microphone. And then if you want to try a ribbon mic, The R10 at $449, another microphone we've been recommending, which I think is at a sale price of that, is highly recommended. Ultimately, you want small diaphragm here, large diaphragm there, large diaphragm pulled back if you want a sound of the guitar in a room, and of course those Sawyers in an XY pattern or split wide here. One at the top, one on the body could be amazing if you need stereo. But ultimately, there's a lot of choices. Those are all microphones I love. And then the next things I love are absolutely cost a fortune, like a vintage KM series Neumann. Amazing mic, but you're not going to get anything less than $5,000 or $6,000 and above. KM53s, KM54s, and KM56s. But frankly, in the new range, those microphones we're talking about there are all absolutely wonderful microphones. The Mojave, the Sawyers, the Lewitt, and the Audio-Technica, and of course the Royer are all absolutely wonderful microphones that we use all the time and you've heard demos of. So go to that link down there. There's 6 microphones. You can check that out. You can also download multi-tracks of pretty much any of these and hear for yourself what you think of them. But I highly recommend those microphones. Excellent question. Thank you ever so much. And don't forget to check out Sweetwater's Mic Month if you want to get a stupidly good deal, because most of those mics are there for a really, really good price at the moment. It's been interesting, with everybody being in lockdown like we've been for the last couple of months, microphones have been going through the roof. I've been hearing lots of people buying in this kind of cheaper price range, but wanting the advice that we've just been giving, finding something that is going to do the job. And I think as long as you get a microphone of this kind of quality that we're talking about, you'll never have to resell. I use $150 microphones and $15,000 microphones in tandem all day long. And when I want to get an acoustic guitar sound that's all sparkly at the top and has no low end, I need to roll out $150 condenser, something like the LCT 140, the Air. It's perfect. That's the thing about these kind of microphone recommendations. It's really important to me that I recommend stuff that you will never have to sell. Things that you can add to your arsenal. The last thing I want to be is that annoying guy who's just trying to pitch something, for whatever reason. These have got to be something that you need to build a proper mic locker, something you can look back on. If you're an Academy member, you'll see we had Matt McGlynn last week from Roswell, and he gave us a really, really great explanation. So if you're an Academy member, go in and check out his video if you haven't already. I know a few hundred of you have already watched that video. And if you're on a 14-day trial or a 30-day trial of the Academy at the moment, go find Matt McGlynn's video. We had a wonderful conversation about this exact subject. Hi Warren, I'm currently considering making an upgrade for my interface. What do you think about universal audio ones? I don't have any analog, compressor, or any other external gear. I am a big fan of a couple of different companies, several different companies on interfaces. As you know, I use the Audience stuff on a daily basis, and for the same reason I use the Kali stuff, because I need to practice what I preach. It's really important to me that when I'm making recordings that I can do it on affordable equipment as well as really expensive equipment. You have to walk the walk, don't you? I watched a video recently where somebody was trying out a new podcasting mic and saying how amazing it was. And in every video I've seen them do since, they've been using an SM7. So, I don't want to be that guy. I like SM7s and we use them. But at the moment we have a Lewitt 540S, and that is the mic I'm using. It's pulled quite a long way back, so you've got a bit more room tone in it. But we got a little bit tired of using the clip-on mic, and I kept breaking the cable. So we're just going to a microphone just on the ground pointing towards me. So you hear a bit of room tone. Why are we using that? It's because it's a microphone I use. And I don't want to be that guy. No, and you don't want to watch a guy that's talking about gear that they don't use. So yes, there's an Audient ID44 over there. We have an SSL that we mix through hybrid, and sometimes we mix in a box. We do live mixing. This is the real world. So yes, I do love the Audient stuff. But I also am very, very blessed to have a bunch of Universal Audio stuff. Now, it was down at my other studio, Harmony, and now we've brought it here. So what we're going to have is the whole Universal system in here. The reason why I wanted to use it here, firstly, I want to be up to date and have the latest and greatest. Frankly, I want to have really, really good equipment so that when I'm talking to you, I can talk authoritatively about what is current. We also have the Steinberg stuff. We have a Steinberg interface, which is one of my favorite interfaces for this reason alone, and this is a good enough reason. It sounds good, of course it does. No, this reason is it is so connectable. It has everything on it. So when Eric and I when we're not under lockdown, travel to a different engineer or producer's, mixer's studio, and we do courses with them. We turn up with a good sounding interface that we know is going to connect. When we did Ken Slitter's one a couple of months ago, we showed up, and I think we went through 3 different options before we found one that worked. We had 3 different outputs from his device until we found the third one he gave us, like actually output a signal. The other ones weren't giving us a proper signal. And this beautiful Steinberg had all the different inputs for us. So it was great. Let's get back to the point. Yes, Universal Audio I really am a big fan. There is reasons for it. The interfaces sound great. We had them at Harmony. They sounded great. Everything we recorded there was through UAD equipment. But I think one of the reasons beyond getting an Apollo is the fact that the UA emulations are fantastic. The plug-in emulations are truly wonderful. Everybody I know that's a professional loves the UAD plugins, and they use them all the time. And they use the emulations, the virtual plugins, the simulations, whatever you want to call them. They love them because they remind them 100% of the original equipment. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a paid stooge here. I love the Brainworks SSLJ. We got to demo that and give some away for you, and it sounded amazing. Their 4000 sounds the closest to my 4000. I haven't got to try UAD's versions of those yet, but I know they have an SSL endorsed one. It's probably amazing. I am a big fan of many, many pieces of equipment. I love my new Fender Acoustasonics. As much as people trash it, it's freaking awesome. I play it every day. I love my PRS Vader. I play that every day. And of course, the Revstar, I play more than every day. I play it multiple times a day. LL16, you see it in every video. The microphones you see in the video when I'm not talking about microphones, for instance, you see me using every day. Those are the microphones I use. I'm not going to talk about a piece of equipment with you unless I'm actually using it. To me, that's all about integrity. So it's really, really super important. So yes, UAD, you're going to start seeing a lot more stuff with them. We did some stuff over at Harmony a little bit. You're going to see some more stuff. And it's going to be mixed in with everything else. Waves have a new plugin coming out in about a week or so. And we will review it. I haven't even played it yet. We're going to open up and review it. That's what we're about. We're about reviewing gear, finding things that we love. You know, the Baby Audio stuff. What a great company. What a fantastic company. And their stuff is inexpensive and sounds great. The Denise Audio, wasn't it wonderful discovering that? I love discovering these little companies. I just imagine there are a couple of guys, a couple of people in the Netherlands, in Germany, you know, making stuff, spending their lives creating plugins for us to use, to hopefully sell a few thousand across the world and pay their bills and make more plugins. Klanghelm, the MJUC. Since I reviewed that about 4 years ago, every producer I know, every engineer, every mixer I've told about uses that plugin. It's freaking awesome. People love it. Absolutely love it. You know, we all love the Waves MV2. We all love the R-Bass. It's really important to me. So I know that UAD stuff is not the entry level. It's not the audience stuff, but they make really, really good stuff. So I think to answer, very long answer to your question, and it just gave me an opportunity to talk passionately about this, but the answer to your question is yes, you will love the Apollo and you will love the plugins that come with it and you will get amazing results. I know many, many people that are using the Universal Apollo and are making records, and it sounds fantastic. I have done it because we have an Apollo as well. I make records with my ID44, my records with Apogee, with Steinberg, with Avid. There's really good stuff out there. Really, really good quality stuff. It's a great time to be making music. Thank you, everybody. What a great week. It's really, really wonderful to be able to talk about this stuff. Thank you ever so much for these incredible questions. Please leave a bunch more down below. Eric scours them and does it all. We had a whole bunch of questions, and he was looking for about 45 minutes ago. I was like, find some more. So he went and found more questions. So leave those comments and questions below for young Eric Gonzalez over there hiding in the corner to find some questions. And please just ask what you really want to know. There's no dumb questions. There's no dumb questions at all. You know, if it's just about connecting pieces of equipment and you think it's too rudimentary, don't be afraid. We don't shame anybody. We don't put their name. Just ask the question. Ask the question. I'm happy to answer anything you can. Fat Friday, frequently asked questions Fridays, is a highlight of our week, and it's the most fun one to do because it's just questions and I get to talk about things that I love. And, you know, It's really great. We should do more of these. We should do Fact Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. You up for that, Eric?
Let's do it.
All right. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. Thank you, everyone. Speak to you all again very soon. Leave some questions below. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hit the like button. Oh, yeah, hit the like button. I didn't say that this week. I always forget. Hit the like button. And, of course, go to Produce Like a Pro. Sign up for the email list. Get a bunch of free goodies. Oh, yeah, and hit the notification bell because then you'll be notified when we have more videos. Bye.